Alright, fellas.
Only a couple weeks away
Trouble
from
has
the
officially
biggest
hit
money
paradise
fight
for
of
Tank
his
Davis.
career. A lawsuit
Just
has
weeks
thrown
away
the
from the
promotion
biggest
of this
money
event
fight of his
into
entire career,
absolute
a new
crap.
lawsuit
More
has thrown the
DV
promotion
allegations
into
into
absolute chaos,
with the potential
with
this
real
event being
concern that the
cancelled
event
really
could
being
actually
on
be
the ticket
cancelled.
shortly.
These legal issues are similar to what we've heard before, more DV allegations, and we'll get into those in a moment. You've probably already seen the headlines, MVP investigating the situation, rumors of emergency replacement opponents, and reports flying everywhere.
Originally, it was
So today,
meant to be
I want to break down what's actually happening. Could this event really be cancelled? And if so, what should we expect next? To understand how we got here, we have to go back. This event has been troubled from the start.
Then the rematch never happened.
It was originally supposed to be announced right after Tank beat Lamont Roach, but he didn't win. Jake Paul never entered the ring, and everything froze. Then Tank was supposed to run it back in the rematch to reset the storyline, but that fight never happened either. Meanwhile, Jake Paul stayed active and fought Chavez Jr., so even without the Roach rematch, Paul's camp believed Tank was still a big enough name to move forward. But just as they were preparing to announce the fight again, the DV allegations dropped.
Tank was arrested,
and once again everything was thrown into doubt. Then the charges were dropped, and a week later the fight was officially announced. Which brings us to today, where things have only gotten messier. A civil suit has now been filed accusing Tank of aggravated battery, false imprisonment, kidnapping, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. ESPN also reported that a separate complaint was filed with the Miami Gardens Police Department. As of this moment, there are no criminal charges, but the alleged incident happened last month, which is after the fight was announced. You would think that on the verge of the biggest payday of his life, Tank would be doing everything possible to stay out of trouble. Yet he keeps ending up in negative headlines over and over again. But again, as of right now, everything is alleged. What we can talk about is how this impacts the fight. Whether you love or hate this matchup, Tank vs. Paul was set to be one of the most watched events of the year. Ticket sales may have been slow, but the streaming numbers on Netflix would have been massive, especially since subscribers could watch it for free. With Fight Week antics adding fuel, it was set to be a blockbuster event. Technically, the fight isn't cancelled yet. But every rumor, every reporter, and every source is pointing in the same direction. It's falling apart. MVP says they're investigating, while boxing journalists claim Netflix is already searching for a replacement opponent. You would think that on the verge of the biggest payday of his life, Tank would be doing everything possible to stay out of trouble. Yet he keeps ending up in negative headlines over and over again. But again, as of right now, everything is alleged. What we can talk about is how this impacts the fight. Whether you love or hate this matchup, Tank vs. Paul was set to be one of the most watched events of the year. Ticket sales may have been slow, but the streaming numbers on Netflix would have been massive, especially since subscribers could watch it for free. With Fight Week antics adding fuel, it was set to be a blockbuster event. Technically, the fight isn't cancelled yet, but every rumor, every reporter, and every source is pointing in the same direction. It's falling apart. MVP says they're investigating, while boxing journalists claim Netflix is already searching for a replacement opponent. Paul has only improved, Diaz hasn't been active, and the build-up wouldn't be anywhere near as electric this time. Then, surprisingly, the name Francis Ngannou came up, and that one makes the least sense. Jake would be risking everything. Ngannou could knock him out cold and destroy all of Paul's momentum. It's just not worth it for Team Paul, even if the PFL would love a paycheck. Shakur Stevenson has been helping Jake train, but he's obviously too small and not a big enough draw for Netflix to headline a mega event. Realistically, the only person who makes short notice sense is Nate Diaz, but I'm hearing he's already been vetoed. So at this point, no one truly knows if this event is happening or if it's getting scrapped.
reputational bang
Ideally,
Garcia
the
and
Garcia
De La
fight
Hoya
would be the
rematch
most
here.
exciting,
Another name
but the
I don't
chances are
really
slim.
get how they would pull up being
Overall,
that
this entire
fantastic
situation
either.
is a disaster.
Also, I can't really see the build.
Even if the Tank fight does go ahead, the promotion is already damaged.
I think Paul has only
And if
better
Netflix gambles on Tank and then
no,
criminal
because
charges
I'd
appear.
Get knocked out here against Ngannou,
And honestly,
on.
I think
Paul
it's hard to
could
see the
very much
event
enough
continuing
fight
with
for Paul
Tank
to
as the
risk every
headliner.
chance against him, and I
The
don't think
PR
it
disaster
will
would be
I don't
brutal
see
for
Jake
everyone
really having
involved,
a chance.
especially
Simply, it doesn't make
Netflix,
much
which
sense.
does not
The
want
round
this
was
type of
Francis
controversy
Ngannou,
tied to
because
its biggest
I was
boxing
very surprised to
experiment.
hear Go also been
If
helping
Tank
Paul
is
in
removed,
camp for
the plan
this.
would be to delay the
Shakur
event to
Stevenson has
December
all
and
his
find
check
someone
out as
big
a
enough to
potential
fill that
perk.
slot on
Keen
short
as they would
notice.
probably get a nice percentage.
And that's
Although
the problem,
I'm sure the
Netflix
PFL
only
would-
wants
I
mega
don't really
fights.
see this happening either.
There aren't
in
many
the near
names
future.
available who
So
move numbers
it would pretty
like
much
Tank.
ruin everything for
Ryan
him.
Garcia was
But
the first
I am
name
hearing
rumored,
those
and honestly,
really
that made the most
slim
sense.
fights.
But Oscar De
So
La
the off
Hoya
period
quickly
here
shut that
between now and a
down,
potential
saying
match. We're talking
Garcia
about
is
a
fighting
max
Mario
6 week
Barrios
this being
early
big
next
enough for
year.
Nate Diaz. This
Still,
wouldn't happen
I
either,
do
as
believe
just
Ryan
don't
versus
see
Paul will
potential
happen
fight.
eventually
But
when Ryan decides it's time
overall,
to fully
this
cash out.
genuinely honest chances of that happening
Another
are
name
pretty
that
low.
popped up was
Taming,
Nate Diaz,
yet
after
I
he
think the
tweeted that
Garcia
he'd be in the
fight
ring with the
happens,
Paul
that would be the
brothers
most
again
involved.
soon.
Preferably, I would like to see
But do I
the guy
want to
gonna
see that
end up
rematch?
with, or if it's going to be cancelled.
No.
Really, who knows?
That would
who
be a
would
historic
Diaz
mess.
has already been vetoed.
There's too much money in this for them to fully cancel the event, so their only options are roll the dice with Tank or scramble for someone else. If Tank does get removed, his future is complicated. Many believed this was going to be his retirement paycheck. The Roach rematch isn't happening soon because Roach is tied up with Pitbull. And honestly, Tank hasn't taken many real challenges in his career, so who knows where he goes from here if this falls apart. Only time will tell how this plays out. But I want to hear your thoughts. Will the fight still happen? And if Tank is pulled, who should replace him? If you enjoyed the breakdown, don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps the channel more than you think. Thanks for watching, fellas, and I'll catch you in the next one.